So welcome you one and all. Today we are going to discuss about environmental impact assessment on natural gas based power plant case study. So in Tamil Nadu, it's one of the states which suffers from a power deficit. The demand of energy is expected to increase 5% as required in additional capacity of 2058 megawatt within the next 5 years. So out of which the capacity is 8249 megawatt, that is 64% is contributed from government sectors, while the remaining 12% and 24% are contributed by the private sectors and central government respectively. So under the framework of a policy of the government of India, which involves private sector, which encourage to develop a power in order to reduce the power shortage in the state, so which make many private sectors to invest in the energy based industries. So there is a proposal in one of the response of policy under the public private partnership has proposed that they installed a combined cycle power plant CCPP to generate 52.8 megawatt at Valadura of Ramanathapuram district. So when we go for Ramanathapuram district, it is a huge biosphere reserves which consists of coral reefs and fishing lands, and local socio-economic problem arises. So, but the cost of the project has been estimated to 246 crores. However, the environmental clearance is to be required from the environmental impact assessment agencies of the central government, and environmental management plan EMP of the proposed projects has been conducted. So the main focus of the EIA case study is the identification of baseline status of environment. What is a baseline? That it should be required to keep the place more safer for eco-friendly situations. The next one is identification of the qualification of potential significant impacts due to operations of the proposed projects. Then the critical evaluation of the impacts on the environmental quality, recommendation of impact abatement measures, then formulation of environmental management plans, mitigation and its adverse effect, a recommendation of the post-project management programs, etc. So the major issues in discussing this case in the particular project is the topography and the land use of the people will change, and there is a climatic condition which may have a huge impact. Recently we are discussing a global warming, like that the climatic condition will change, the local climatic condition will change due to the pollution produced by the gas plants. Then air quality will change, the particulate matter, carbon monoxide, sulfur oxides, everything will be changed due to this energy production and the use of the fossil resource to produce energy. Water availability and the usages by the industries will become more, and it will create a water scarcity and underground water depletion in futures. Noise quality, the local people will get affected by the noises which will be some decibel above the hearing limit. Ecology, including the marine ecology, particularly coral reef fisheries are very much important in this area, comes under the Gulf of Mannar region, will be affected on a large scale. The socio-economic condition of the people will change because this project in turn affects the ecology and the environment and bioresources, which affects the quality of people, and it will affect their own livelihood. So what's the topography and land use? The present topography of the study is a coastal plain. It's a coast, particularly over the eastern coast of India towards Bay of Bengal, and the land is a sandy terrain, and 30% of this buffer zone is occupied by the sea. Then the core area of this project have some few small sand dunes been observed, which is very much to be protected to maintain the coastal ecology. The proposed project will be operatized in 18.11 acres of land, in which 34% of which will be utilized for the project activities and 30% for the development of the green belt has been proposed. What happened to the air quality? The pollution of air quality arises from the fugitive emissions due to the usage of natural gases, due to the burning of the natural gases. So dispersion of pollutants, the particulate matters, and some superimposed effects which presence in the atmosphere will definitely affect the air quality parameters. So to mitigate the adverse effect, an environmental management plan has been prepared. So to mitigate the land use pattern and to mitigate the air quality, the environmental management involved in protecting these regions. Water resources. The wastewater generation from the power plant, that is hot water recovered from the boilers through blowdown operations or service water, portable water, evaporation coolers, filter back washers and GM plants rejects will be treated in the effluent treatment plants, which in turn affects the green belt, marine resource and local water reservoirs. And also the more usage of water by this industry will deplete the groundwater and the water availability for the local communities. The waste oil transformed into the yachts, it comes out as an effluent from the powerhouse engines, which should be collected and recovered as given by the environmental impact management reports. So what about the noise pollution level? Due to the operation of this one, the noise generation will be very high. The noise level shall be maintained within the stipulated limit and mitigation measures will be proposed by this environmental impact management proposal, and the environmental impact studies assure those things to avoid these noises. Then the ecology. So the major issue is an ecology. So it comes under the Gulf of Mannar Marine Biosphere Reserves. It's a unique ecosystem with over 9 species of living corals, and the harbors are very rich in fauna. So based on the survey of these islands, the degree of human interference in the biosphere was determined. It was very low, and the local people are exploiting animal species, including the fishes, for their livelihood and for the trade. So this percentage is very much less, but once the project has been implemented, these depletion will go in a large scale and which will affect their livelihood and the ecological system. So the corals and the seaweeds are present in abundance, however their exploitation has exceeded the limits. So the environmental impact management and assessment should include these things into consideration and provide some mitigation to avoid this kind of effects. So the socio-economic problem is another major issue. The proposed project will utilize skilled manpower for operation and maintenance of the plant. So the employment opportunity will be increased in this region. The educated, skilled and unskilled manpower will be utilized. And the project will give a push to the another industrial commercial avenues in this region. So the income generation will be more, particularly in this generation. So what will happen is in turn it changes that the project not only produces the power not only generates power but also generates employment opportunities and increase the income level. So what's the environment management plan? So the environmental management plan EMP provides a conceptual framework to reduce or mitigate the predicted environmental impact of the project. The following are the proposed measures for improving the overall environmental management of the site. So the mitigation of the adverse environment and the socio-economic impacts has been measured and its mitigation has to be taken. Recommendation of the approach that can integrate environmental concern in design, operation and development of the necessary physical infrastructures. Monitoring plan for significant environmental attributes to be considered. So the environmental management plan, the EIA reports provide the details of monitoring. What they have been monitored and what should be monitored regularly is a meteorological state and air quality. Meteorological state, that is the climate, the atmosphere and the air quality has been monitored in a regular basis, and the mitigation measures is taken regularly which should not affect the local environment. The noise level, the continuous monitoring of the machineries and the plant, and the noise level about the of the plant has been maintained, and the noise level should be reduced less than 70 decibels. Water quality, the local water quality, the groundwater quality and the seawater quality during the discharge of certain water into the sea should be monitored, and the water should be cooled and recycled several times in order to save the local environment and the sea marine resources, particularly the groundwater and the availability of water to the local peoples. The land quality, the spilling of oil in the land and dumping some waste material into the land should be avoided, and these mitigation measures can also be included in environmental management plan and the environmental impact assessment report to keep the land quality as before. Monitoring schedule has been prepared on a daily basis and weekly, monthly, etc. and parameters have been fixed so that they should not overcome or they should not go above these parameters, so that the livelihood, environment, noise, water, land of all the resources should be maintained in a proper quality. So in conclusion, so number of issues require higher degree of competence at a function and organizational level. For example, the project is close to the marine biosphere resource, which requires some specialized studies to assess nature of the impact. So the environmental impact management has been assessed and provided a proper measuring tools and scales to the industries and to the local pollution control board to implement the project. So need for institutionalization of the environment issue into an organization structure for effective implementation. The specific environmental monitoring requires a specialized kill of monitoring team. So the team should monitor on a regular basis and make the assessment proper and save the local communities. Need for a better infrastructure to develop environmental monitoring. Need for post-project monitoring and reporting of environmental attributes should be given in a priority so that even though we are in a scarcity of power, we are preparing everything, these things of power production. So we should not compromise the environmental concerns. So to identify these things, we can refer gas cylinder rules of 1981, Government of India, environmental impact notification of 1994, issued under Environmental Protection Act of 1981, and the report from Ministry of Environment and Forest, Government of India, everything. And so our main concern is we need the development project. We need the development for the power production, to building bridge or to lay 6-lane or 4-lane, etc., and to produce a nuclear power plant. We can produce gas pipelines, everything. We need development, but we should not compromise the environmental impacts. It should be taken into consideration so that our future generation will enjoy what we are enjoying today and what our forefathers enjoyed. So there is no compromise in the environment, even for whatever may be the developmental projects. So the environmental impact assessment and environmental management plan as proposed in this particular case study should be taken as a point, and we have to do or implement for further things. So the monitoring and reporting of these environmental attributes is important, and the frequent legislation is also important, and the local people should be involved in monitoring these things so that they be satisfied with the projects which we are going. So thank you. We'll meet again in another case study.